In the dead of night, with visibility almost non-existent and only the runway lights as their guide, AZ Flight 8250 made its approach to San Andres after a 4-hour delay and battling poor weather en route. The crew expected that just one final landing stood between them and the end of a long day. However, the pilots were unaware of the danger lurking in the darkness. Believing they were safely above their intended path, they unknowingly descended too low, falling victim to the notorious black hole illusion. This disorienting phenomenon, where darkness tricks even the most seasoned pilots, combined with adverse weather, led them into a fatal trap. They were misled into thinking they were on course when, in reality, disaster was imminent. Could the pilots land the aircraft safely, or would it end in tragedy at the last moment? This is the story of AIRES Flight 8250. On the early morning of August 16, 2010, AIRES Flight 8250, a Boeing 737-700 registered 4,682 Hong Kong, was preparing for a domestic flight from Bogota to San Andres Island, Colombia. Initially scheduled to depart on August 15th at 9:29 p.m., the flight faced a delay, with the revised departure time set to 10:50 p.m. and then further pushed to 11:45 p.m. After a prolonged wait, 125 passengers, a mix of tourists and locals, boarded the aircraft. The passengers included Colombian nationals and individuals from the United States, France, Brazil, Costa Rica, and Germany. The flight crew comprised 4 cabin crew members and 2 pilots. Captain Wilson Gutierrez, an experienced pilot with over 7,600 flight hours, primarily on turboprop aircraft, who had recently transitioned to the Boeing 737, and First Officer Camus Galvin, with approximately 1,900 flight hours, serving as the pilot monitoring. At 11:25 p.m., the flight crew contacted El Dorado Ground Control to confirm the updated departure time. The ground controller cleared the flight for its journey to San Andres, and the pilots acknowledged this clearance. After starting the engines, the flight crew requested taxi instructions to runway 31 right. A few minutes later, the aircraft was pushed back from the gate and began its taxi towards the runway, waiting for takeoff clearance. At 12:07 a.m. local time, more than 3 hours behind schedule, Flight 8250 took off from El Dorado International Airport, marking the start of a new day. The aircraft climbed steadily towards its cruising altitude, and the initial phase of the flight was uneventful. The pilots maintained regular communication with air traffic control, moving through different control zones without issue. The atmosphere on board was typical for a night flight, with passengers settling in, some preparing to sleep, and others engaging in light conversation. The flight from Bogota to San Andres typically takes about an hour and 40 minutes, crossing the Andes Mountains and Colombian plains before reaching the Caribbean Sea. The final approach involves descending over the ocean towards San Andres Island.